y'all. It's your girl Rhonda. I'm back. They're back. Season 5, episode 1, or season 4, episode 16. Either way, Love and Marriage Huntsville is back. I'm excited about that because they keep us going, don't they? Anyway, the show opens up where it left off. Martell came to visit Mel at her event. He's trying to be the good guy. I'm just bringing the kids, even though it's her week, even though it's my week. I'm, still gonna take time out of my day to come see her and support because Martell always has to present himself as the good guy, but we know better now, don't we? After he showed his whole ass this last couple of weeks all up on Instagram, and child, they had me so worn out. I had to go take a nap behind all that. But anyway, here we are back at the event. It was super awkward. Miss Mel's mother came in and took the kids out, out of the scene. And now, so Mel and Martell are just sitting there looking at each other. Mel is pretty much giving him like, so, what are you doing here? And like I said, we know Martell did this just because he wants to make himself look like a good guy. Since Mel didn't bring the kids to his event, he's trying to portray this whole image of her, and we see through you, Martell, not buying it. So, after they sat there awkwardly for a moment, he got up and walked out and went, to go sit in the seat like the fan he is. Anyway, couples therapy. Remember, Dr. Francis invited everyone to couples therapy, and everybody, was kind of so-so about it. And Tisha was not planning on telling her husband that Dr. Francis was going to be there. He thinks he's just going to a retreat. So we get to the retreat, and Kimmy and Maurice arrive first, followed shortly with the Whitlows behind. Marceau and Tisha, who, Tisha, who set up the whole event, is actually not there. Her and Martell are in the car. Kimmy calls them, and they're either having issues with the nanny or some kind of business. Whatever it is, they're not there. Their guests are there. They're not there. And Kimmy was like, well, Dr. Francis is waiting on you. Remember, Tisha had told Mark, so allegedly, supposedly, he doesn't know Dr. Francis is going to be there. So anyway, while they're sitting there, Dr. Francis is kind of catching up with everyone and getting to know everyone. And in the middle of all that, Tiffany gets a phone call. She has a work thing. Sorry, I had already told my husband about this, but I have a work call that I couldn't reschedule. Okay, girl. So she gets up, Dr. Francis is looking at her like, oh, really? So that's rude, but okay. Honestly, I feel like he was just making observations. He's just meeting these people, but it's a couples retreat. And I guess you don't, every couple has issues. So whatever they are, going to this retreat is, Dr. Francis. I like Dr. Francis. He's, he has an interesting, a very fair way of looking at things. I think the men see him as leaning towards the women's side, but I think, he leans towards the right side. And so I do like that about him, because there's some kooky therapists on some of these shows that, like Sheree's therapist over there talking about having hand jobs and shit. That's weird. Anyway, that's off subject. So Tiffany bounces on her husband, not surprising. Dr. Francis, you're just now seeing this behavior, but we see this from Tiffany all the time. After she dragged a man down to the baseball field and forced him into marrying her, seems like she just really doesn't like him that much at all, but we'll see. Anyway, she leaves, and Dr. Francis is looking at Whitlow like, so that's odd. Like, we're here to work on our relationship, and your wife just left you here by yourself. And Whitlow's pretty much like, well, you can take that up with her, because I can answer for myself, but she's gonna have to deal with the things, the consequences of her own actions. So there. Tisha and Marcel finally get there. They pull up. She's got her head hanging down. Apparently she lost a friend. That's sad. Sorry to hear it. And moving on. So we over here, Martell and his mama are in the car. I don't know where they're going or where they're coming from, but it seems as though his mother is irritated by some of the things that she's seen on social media, things that Mel supposedly said. I don't know what she said, because these folks is always saying something. If it ain't Mel, then it's Martell. If it ain't Martell, then it's Wanda. And you know, all of them have something to say. Keisha, Kiki, all the cousins, everybody is making a live. They have a whole show when the show ain't on. You have to keep up with it on a daily basis. And then you got Coleslaw over there who flips out like every other 2 weeks. Anyway, they sound like a couple of politicians in here running for office, how they, you know, bigging each other up. Martell's mother sounds just like him. Like she sat up there acting like she don't remember saying that Mel was working her son to the bone, and that, you know, when the kids were little, she was doing everything, and she was like, she used to be so mad. Now they just showed the clip of everything she said. So if Mel responded to that, don't be mad, Mama Martell, because you started that shit, and you know damn well, you know, it's just really weird and stupid. I have 3 children. If they are out of line, I'm just gonna tell them that. You know, they can like to hear it or don't like to hear it. Most of the time, they don't like to hear it because nobody likes to hear about how they're fucking up. But, you know, as a parent, you should be telling your kid, you know, how to be better. But maybe she wasn't that great of a mother. You know, that's what the street said. I don't know anything about that, but I am hearing different things about how Miss whatever her name is, I don't know, Miss Martell's mother may not have been the one that raised him, and that maybe his grandmother was. So now she's just gonna like try to big him up regardless to whether he's right or wrong. It's turning him into even more of a horrible person than he already is. They, like I said, it sounds like politicians trying to make themselves sound good for the people. We not stupid. We don't believe you. We know you're on bullshit. So there. Martell feels like, you know, Mel and his mother used to be close, and it's unfortunate that things played out the way they did, and he really wants them to have a conversation with each other. I guess, but I don't really feel like Mel is trying to, you know, make amends with your mom. Take them kids over there when you got her. I don't see why I need to be having any type of engagement with your mother, Martell. Y'all just go and keep on, you know, holding each other down the way you do. Back at the retreat, now everyone's together and the session has started. So Dr. Francis started with the phrase, "You're only as strong as your last challenge." And I mean, it's simple, it makes sense in a marriage, in a relationship, in a friendship, in a work relationship, in all situations where people have to deal with each other on a regular basis. You are gonna at some point be challenged in that relationship. So how you handle one challenge definitely will affect how you move into the next thing. And if you don't handle the shit, especially in a marriage, if you don't handle the shit and it's still lingering on, it goes on to the next thing and the next thing, and it's always present every time there's an issue. So, you know, that's what I got from it. Then he gets on Tiffany's case because she's pretty much, you know, you left your husband here, and she's pretty, you know, on some, listen, I was waiting on the rest of the couple to get here. And he was like, you're not in a relationship with the rest of the couples. You're in a relationship with him, and you left him sitting here by himself. So she goes on to defend how it was a scheduling issue, and she, you know, he already knew about it, and maybe she should have told him. And Dr. Francis was like, you don't schedule yourself on out of a marriage. I thought they were so perfect and had such an expert like on their 11 months of marriage. Now all of a sudden things, I guess month number 12 must have been a doozy doozy, because dang, they ain't having no sex no more. And I don't know. We all knew that was bullshit anyway, honestly. We all knew that Tiffany and Whitlow were sitting up here. As soon as they said she took him to the baseball field and surprised him with a wedding, everybody was like, now that's interesting. And I'm not even talking about because she was the one to propose. Girl, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I don't know anybody that wants to be surprised for a wedding. Don't show me up to somewhere surprised you're going to marry me right now in front of all these people. No, I'm not. That's weird and controlling. And she does seem to be very controlling in her relationship. And Dr. Francis peeped that out real quick. So Kimmy chimed in basically saying, because Tiffany said something like she gives 100% at work and 100% at home, and Kimmy's like, yeah, that's impossible. You can't be giving 100% in both places. Somewhere it's gonna be lacking unless you balance it out. You know what I'm saying? If you get 100% of work, and there's nothing left for home. So, they don't want to hear nothing outside of what they say. Once they say it, then you're supposed to just take it. And they don't like to take criticism on their relationship, even though they have a lot to say about other people's relationships. But they're the experts. Anyway, Dr. Francis comes up with this exercise for them. So the couples have to tie themselves together for 15 minutes, tie themselves together at the ankle, and they're walking around just to see how they communicate with each other. Honestly, Marceau and Tisha tied themselves together and walked around quite easily. This is just me judging based on what I've seen over the seasons and episodes. But I'm sure Tisha is very used to conforming to whatever Marceau is having her do. He's the clear leader in the family, and she's gonna let him lead. Now, if she's comfortable with that, then there's nothing wrong with that. The public has a lot to say about it, mostly because they keep putting shit out there. And you put it out there, then I guess we can have something to say about it. But at the end of the day, in the 15 years, and I think, I'm not a man, so I can't speak on how men feel about things necessarily, but I think as women, just based on the way that traditionally relationships are supposed to look like, and your man is the head of the household and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that's what, traditionally, this society has set things up for us as women. So we get into a relationship, and then you train yourself to be comfortable with something that ain't necessarily what you want. So, and like I said, I don't know these people's marriage, but I'm just, just as an observer from what I see, it seems like Tisha is very much comfortable with letting Marceau take control. And it worked in this exercise. Like, somebody has to decide, who's going to lead or what the pace is going to be. And everybody's pace is obviously going to be different. Whitlow and Tiffany, well, they were a mess at first, but then Tiffany decided that Whitlow should carry her, and he just did it because she asked him to. Tiffany says she felt trapped. Is that how you're supposed to feel? Like, I mean, it's 15 minutes and it's not what you normally do, but I don't see why feeling trapped would be a thing. But this is Tiffany. She feels trapped, but it seems like she trapped herself down at the baseball field when she forced that man into a marriage. Whitlow just does whatever she tells him to do. So that's how that is. Kind of like Tisha and Marceau, except Tisha doesn't feel trapped. I think she's good with it, to be honest. Kimmy and Maurice. So Kimmy and Maurice struggled, I think, the most because, like I said, Whitlow and the Whitlows and the Scotts, Marceau and Tisha Scott, they understand who the leader is. Whitlow knows that Tiffany is the leader, and Tisha knows that Marceau is the leader, so they did what they were supposed to do in that moment. Maurice and Kimmy. Maurice is no way in any way, shape, or form prepared to be a leader, but he damn sure wants to act like one. And Kimmy is a strong woman, and she's older than him, which means she's double more mature than he is in terms of, life, because Maurice is a lawyer, so on top of that, he thinks he knows everything. Seemingly, he knows nothing. But they struggled because he kept trying to, take control. He saw her as trying to take control instead of working together. So what Kimmy said was, he was holding her too tight and it made her feel like she couldn't move comfortably. And he said, well, then, you said it was too tight, so I'm just going to let you go. He thinks that, he kept saying that we get into a struggle every time you're trying to leave. And him understanding that her needing to be a little more free somehow translated into she's trying to leave. The more Maurice shows himself, he's almost worse than Dan Marceau. Maurice, he used to be my favorite. Oh, how the mighty fall so fast. It was maybe you were my favorite just because you were the least problematic in the moment, but your horns are showing, and I don't like it. Dr. Francis said that he thinks Whitlow is scared of Tiffany because he do what she tell him to do. And yeah, do you know the part about what? Anyway, I wonder if they're gonna talk about that. How she made that man marry her. And I'm saying it like that because she surprised him with a wedding. Like he damn sure didn't have to say yes, but he did. So there you go. Who's really trapped in this shit? Anyway, child. So Mel goes over to visit Stormy. Stormy's in her serenity room or whatever. Like Stormy is a rich bitch. I follow her on Instagram. I see her playing with a little baby deer on her front porch, and you go, Stormy. Anyway, she's got sound bowls. I need some sound bowls in my life. I just don't want to be the person doing it. I just want to go lay in a room and relax and listen to the sound bowls. I'm gonna look into that. I know, listen, this is Orlando, Kissimmee, Orlando. We live in Whoville. There is not a whole lot we don't have here. So I'm gonna look into that too. I can't remember what the other thing. Oh, I want a sound bowl and I want a room where you go smash things, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. Anyway, Mel and Stormy, she goes to visit Stormy and they're having a conversation. Mel is telling her like about the event and how, nobody was there actually except for her mother. And she told her that Martell showed up with the kids. And, Stormy was just asking like, how's the relationship? What did her mother think about him being there? She thinks, her mother just thinks as long as there's no drama, I don't think she has any problems with it. And she was talking about her relationship with Martell's mother. And Mel's logic is at the end of the day, like they haven't talked, I think she said since 2020, or 21. So it's been a long time since they've even talked. Mel isn't talking to Martell, so I don't know why she would need to talk to his mother. And they were just talking about how they used to be close. And Mel was like, I don't have no issues being nice to this woman or cordial with her. But at the end of the day, it's his mother. And yeah, it's his mother. So that relationship is him and his mom. But especially with the way they're getting along right now, ain't no way for her to have no calm with his mother too. They should just, he can drop the kids over there because it's the kids you want to see. And I don't think she's missing out on seeing her grandchildren. And I don't think Mel would even want that for her to not be able to see their grandmother, because I'm sure they're crazy about her like most kids are about their grandma. So I don't think that's a thing. She's just saying that's his mother, her loyalty is to him. And when you have a divorce, you have to lose some of those relationships, and you absolutely do. If the divorce is as volatile as theirs is, and they are in a bad place, they're not in no place where, my son's grandmother is like a family member. Her and my mother were close. Her and my other children are close. Like, I don't feel like that, that's not, I wasn't married to her son. I'm just saying, like when the relationship ended, it wasn't some nasty thing where, the uncles, all of that, everybody loves each other, but that's not the case with them. So, but I mean, I really like that conversation because it was very honest. It was one of those things that, once again, Mel being non-problematic, I know she can. I do I hear a lot of stuff out there, on the internet streets about how Stormy and Mel are not friends. I'm glad to see that's not the case because what's his name? Martell likes to always be harping on I have friends and she doesn't have any friends, and that's why she lost her friends, and it sounds so stupid. But you know, I'm glad they're still cool. That was a good conversation. Um, Back over here at the house, they're no longer tied together with the rope, but the rope challenge did expose that if Maurice doesn't get his way with Kimmy, then he's just gonna let her go. That's so messed up. So it's either his way or no way. That's unfortunate because Kimmy, you know, you chime in a lot while Dr. Francis is having a conversation, and I don't think you're wrong. I agree with the things that you said, but y'all got seemingly more issues or just as much issues as Marcel and Tisha. Because that Maurice is something else. Oh, what a chauvinistic, misogynistic asshole. Both of them. They're a lot alike, that Marcel and Maurice. um, so Tiffany wants a baby. I mean, so they're, you know, they're all sitting having dinner, and you know, Dr. Francis and his wife are there, and you know, all of the couples are there, and yeah, Tiffany blurts out that she wants a baby. I don't know how she figures she don't have time for a baby because she don't have time for her husband. She, you know, she did share that her adopted parents were on drugs. I didn't know that about Tiffany, which is more concerning than, you know, even before. So first her adoptive mother gave her up in the way that she did. A white woman who had a black baby and couldn't keep it, so she abandoned it. And then the parents that she did end up were both of them were addicted to drugs at one point. And looking back and remembering that episode where she was visiting with her parents, I could see that now. But that's unfortunate. That means that as parents, they were not available. So Tiffany again is without parents for the most part, without, you know, guidance, which says a lot about her decision. Dr. Francis was telling her, he said, so you lost your birth mother, and then you lost, for all intent and purposes, your adoptive parents, and then you got a divorce, and that's another loss. And he feels like she wants a baby because a baby will be with her always, a child will be with her always. And maybe I hear a lot of girls that are in certain type of situations say something like, I mean, I want a baby because the baby will love me, for real love me, and that kind of thing, which is, you know, that's not how parenting works, but you know, it is what it is. Marceau asked her, like, how is that gonna work? Like, with your work schedule, how is that gonna work having a baby? And she said, well, I work well in chaos. And I hear people say that a lot. I work well in chaos. And I don't think there's any such thing as working well in chaos. I think you may manage to work in chaos, but you don't work well in chaos. You work well with preparation. Or you just have found yourself in a situation where you are so used to being in chaos that you think you work well in it. And so Marcel's like, you're gonna bring a baby into chaos? Like, that sounds crazy, but that sounds exactly like just how she moves. It sounds real, like she was on a mission. I want to go find my mother. Like Tiffany just be creating shit to do, seemingly to stay away from Whitlow, because she wants to do everything but him. And you know, Marcel's asking him, and like, how's that gonna work for you? Like, you ain't getting none now. You think you're gonna get some if there's a baby? And the answer to that question is no, you're not. Because everybody gonna be too tired for that. She gotta go to work, she gotta come home and do whatever. And I mean, their kids are teenagers. I have a teenager in my house, and trust me, it's work too. It's not like potty training and that kind of thing, but it's a whole nother different level of mental stress. So yeah, no, that's a disaster. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for divorce number 2 for both of y'all, because that's what it seems like y'all are trying to create, this lovely chaos that Tiffany seems to think she works so well in. Every time Dr. Francis asks Whitlow something, he comes back with a very, like, a matter of fact textbook answer, and da, da, da. And, Dr. Francis is like, you read a lot of philosophy books, don't you? And he was like, yeah. He was like, at some point, the student has to become the teacher. Well, Whitlow, I always think he's going to teach somebody. And Dr. Francis is like, I can tell because you have answers that are ready-made. Like they don't come from, they're detached from who you really are. Because if you answer questions from your own perspective, then that makes you vulnerable. Well, I'm very vulnerable, and I tell everybody all the time I don't have a problem opening up. So Whitlow and Tiffany both they don't want to have any advice. So whatever you said, Dr. Francis, don't nobody care because we already know everything because we've already done it, and that's just how life is. So, you know. Kimmy is like, y'all got a lot of opinions about everybody else's stuff, but Dr. Francis over here is an expert in his field. He's been married for 46 years, and y'all are not open to anything he has to say. Seems like y'all have a lot of opinions about other people's life, but when it comes down to somebody, having some insight, like he's only observed you guys for, these few hours that we've been together, and he's just telling you what he's observed, as the expert he is in that short period of time. And, that's them. We don't want to hear it. And Dr. Francis is like, I'm not surprised you disagree because you think you know everything, philosopher. He told Whitlow's, he said, the whole conversation, like, this is just episode 1, so I'm guessing he gonna get on everybody. And I think the last one he gonna get on is that Marcel, because Marcel don't really want to be open to having any type of therapy whatsoever. And Maurice thinks that he went to a session already, so he's fixed. Dr. Francis is like, I'm no mechanic, I don't fix people. That's not what I do, dumbass. But you want to be the leader though. Anyway, we're on the Whitlow. So Dr. Francis tells them that everything is not great at home like they try to present it. And we already said that. We already observed that. Y'all want to act like everything is good and we have everything under control. And Whitlow over here talking about people spreading their legs and shit. He's so horny, he can't hold himself together. And Tiffany can't stand being in the same room with him. Seems like, and she said something early on, like she doesn't like being alone. She doesn't even like alone time, but she don't like Whitlow time either because this man is dying for some attention. Even when he tied her ankles together, she said she felt trapped. Like for 15 minutes, you can't like. Anyway. They're immediately on the fence. What do you mean make it out to be? Like, what are you trying to say? That Dr. Francis said early on, because they played this word game early on, and he said something about commitment and scheduling. That's when that whole conversation came up. But he said, early on we played a game. He said the first level of a game is you play the game. And as soon as your game is discovered, then the game is to not play the game. I had to keep listening to that to see like what exactly does that mean. And I guess everybody has their outside face that they put on as far as what their relationship is. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the public don't want to know y'all's like, every little thing that you go through in your relationship. Some things you share with people and some things are to be kept in the household, just, because it makes you vulnerable. People use shit against you. It makes you weaker as a team if you're allowing, I think, other than a therapist, I'm just saying, you can't be telling everybody all your business. So I think most people have a front that they put on. Now, some people's front is to pretend like they're perfect. So anytime you have people that are not being honest that way, like I don't really know a lot of people that are pretending to have a perfect relationship. You can discuss things without telling your personal business. That's what I mean by, I guess, the game that you put on. But there are people out there that try to pretend like they have the perfect marriage, aka the Whitlows. They are out here like, we don't have any problems. Everything is good. I'm not getting any sex. I work well in chaos. I don't want to be tied to this nigga, not ever, not for a minute. Like, y'all are confusing as hell. But the image that they're putting out is not real. And most people can see through that. I don't think Kimmy and Maurice are pretending to be perfect. Um, I don't think Marcel and I don't think Marcel is pretending to be perfect. I think Tisha is, though. I think Tisha works really hard to do damage control, and her husband on the other side sabotages her damage control by, saying shit that makes her look foolish. But anyway, he was trying to say, I think, that when you're playing a game like that and being fake like that, and then when people figure it out, then you got to backtrack and try to figure out how to make it look like you're not playing a game, which is still a fucking game, which is exhausting and everybody sees through it. Whitlow's response was like, so you're saying our marriage is an act? And I'm dying to hear his response, because Dr. Francis had this look of confusion, and I was like, that's what it sounds like. I'm just saying, that's what it sounds like. Your marriage is an act. Like, and I feel like y'all, in this whole year and a half that y'all have been married, seems like you've been acting. Because ain't nothing you're saying like you saying one thing, but then what's going on is completely different. And you're sharing that too with people like, so what the hell? How is it perfect? How is your marriage perfect? And y'all ain't getting nothing, no type of intimacy, closeness. And the idea of being attached to you for 15 fucking minutes makes this lady feel trapped. Interesting. So that's where it left off. That was the first episode. It was a good little starter. I am so glad that they're back. And I guess we'll see like on the trailer. Well, I gave us a little, information on what's coming. We all were here for the big brawl down to the Destiny's beauty supply with Miss Wanda and everything. We already knew about that, and I'm having a feeling that we won't get any of that until like way into to the season. Seems like Kimmy, I don't want to say the C word, but everything that they were showing us made it seem like that she may have be dealing with some, some health issues at the very, you know, nobody wants to see that, because we like Kimmy. And so I guess we'll have to wait until we find out about that. So, and of course, we see more fighting with Mel and Martell and the honey girl. So that's it, y'all. And we're gonna do this thing next week and see what these people got going on. But until then, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.